So let's talk of the new Agnipath scheme for recruitment in the Indian Armed Forces. The formal announcement of the new recruitment scheme, the Agnipath, that's the chariot of fire, has set havoc in motion in India. It offers employment in the armed forces for only 4 years with no pension, and only 25% of these would be considered for regular pensionary jobs thereafter. In just 4 or 5 days of the announcement, 7 states have seen burning of trains and other such incidents. The severity of damage to public property and the level of anarchy has been about 50 times more than what happened in Prayagraj and Saharanpur, for which the houses of the alleged offenders were bulldozed. And it must be about 100 times as bad as the stone throwing incidents of Kashmir, for which several lost their eyes, if not their lives. So what has been the reaction of important elements of Indian society to this? The response has exposed the hollowness of several institutions and citizen groups of India towards the real needs of its unemployed youth. The BJP top brass has started shouting that the offenders are simply not understanding the tremendous benefits of this scheme, which is about to bring to the lives of these young men benefits. PM Shri Modi has not only offered bonanza to the youth, but has also been so considerate so as to amend the upper age limit for entry, all within just 3 days of announcing a scheme which hopefully must have been prepared after careful consideration of all aspects and then passed by the cabinet. It's clear that the youth are really ungrateful, or maybe they're idiots who don't know what is good for them. Strange India, where millions of youths of the same troubled states, UP, Bihar, etc., know how to select an outstanding PM for the nation, but not what is good for them and their families. Wow. Or maybe they are just being fooled by the opposition, just as millions of farmers were for a year. Strange again that political might of the absolute majority and a mammoth public relations machinery of the government of India and the BJP is losing out to an opposition that is not even able to get together to field a presidential candidate. The balloon that army jobs are about a chance to serve the nation above everything else has finally burst. And if it gets seen as such, BJP is in deep trouble. They have till now been able to hoodwink many that all that India's youth want is a chance to remake India, and therefore a lot of what they do must be accepted. If nationalism were indeed the sole motivation of the teeming millions of India, these rioters would have jumped at this opportunity to do so for the next 4 years, pension or no pension. Actually, real patriots should serve in the army for no pay. Is it not dishonorable to take pay to serve your motherland and also ask for pension? Veterans are popping all over social media, advising the youth to see reason. They are everywhere telling that money is not everything, no matter if they themselves would march to the President of India to return their medals just because their considerable pension was not being increased. I say, stop the pension of these advisors for just a week and see what happens to their patriotic spirit. The society is always asking, how did the chiefs of the 3 services allow this? As if they matter in this or anything else. Do the citizens not know that the responsibility of defending India does not lie with the army, but with its cabinet? Accordingly, all decisions are taken by the cabinet, or whatever the armed forces may think or want. So, when someone asks the chiefs as to why did they not object, they should refuse to answer, saying, You're asking the wrong guy. But they don't do so. They go all out to defend the policy. After the new rules have been announced, that even lieutenant generals are now eligible for the post of the Chief of Defence Staff, the CDS. The lieutenant general army commanders have gone on record to say that this is a good scheme, as it will bring in a disciplined citizenry in the India, as if army recruitment policies are not for the needs of the army, but for developing good citizens for the country. Army men should look for army interests before getting political. The pent-up frustration of unemployed youth has burst, and the government is very worried that it will soon be seen as such by the nation. Poor young men of India are not being allowed to get a chance to provide for their families even when they are ready to die on the borders for it. Can the frustration get any worse than this? Is it a good scheme? What are my views on it? My or anybody else's views simply do not matter. There are two main reasons for this. First, organizational change is not a complicated matter but a complex one. In the former, expertise matters, while in the latter it doesn't. In complicated matters, the cause and effect relationship between the various elements are deep and intricate, but knowable to the experts. Servicing a jet engine is one such thing. In complex domains, however, the cause and effect relationship is constantly changing, hence not knowable in advance. The advice here is to try out something at a mini scale, study its consequences, and take the second step accordingly. This process has a simple name: experimentation, prototyping. Let me show you what happens when experts think they can predict the future even in complex matters like this. All three service chiefs are on record to say that they did not anticipate this level of angst. One Lieutenant General Puri, Department of Military Affairs, is on record to say that they had properly wargamed this, but the results did not show what is already happening in India. These experts should now question the efficacy of their wargaming and other prediction methods. What just could not show them the future that is unfolding, but instead showed them one which they wanted to see. Let me point out another thing about subjectivity in such complex matters as this. Look up any debate on NDTV on this scale. You will find two highly decorated veterans vouching for how good this scheme is, and two equally decorated ones telling you how bad it is. On the other hand, can you show an X-ray of a broken bone to four doctors and have two say the bone is broken and two say it is not? So now you know how expert your experts are. Actually, the fault is not in believing in something, but it is in not knowing what topics are amenable to expertise and what are not. They are advised to look up my video on differences between complicated and complex domain. The link will be in the description box below. Generals dear, future of a complex system has to be created piece by piece, not predicted by war games. Most experts are suggesting specific modifications to the scheme. One retired general has 5 pointed suggestions, of course, as he thinks fit. But no one is pointing out that the only good way is to recruit about, say, 10,000 men on any terms, spread them around in units all over India, and take a report of the overall performance after about, say, 3 years. The second reason why my views or those of anyone else do not matter is that PM Modi has built his reputation on being the man who does what he feels like. He has an iron will and will brook no dithering. when it comes to the good of India as he thinks. Whether it be demonetization, the buying of the Rafale jets, or the announcement of the lockdown for COVID, he has surely displayed the steel. In the event of the Balakot strike, he himself told the nation something which no one would have known if not for his own revelation. He proudly told us that the air marshals in charge of implementing the aerial strike had advised him that the weather considerations suggested that if the missiles were released in that weather, they may miss due to clouds. Now, this was a classic case of experts giving the right advice in a complicated matter, but he overruled them. मैंने कहा, चलते हैं. I said, let's go. He told the air marshals. As he himself reveals, all this helps to create the right image of the Iron Man. So would he have listened to me on whether the scheme is right? No way. That would weaken his image. There's another reason why no one offers advice to him. Why tell the king he's naked if you value your own head? Let's accept that jobs in the armed forces are first about money and job security, and little about anything else. We must also accept that job situation in the country is now critical, absolutely critical. We also have to accept that those who are burning trains, etc., are not necessarily unfit for the army. These are angry, frustrated people. Speaking purely from a psychological point of view, the violent nature of tasks in the army are better performed by men who act to achieve their mission than those who merely wail. A country which has no qualms in having an MP accused of terror charges within the own country would be wrong in rejecting petty jobs to those who merely get violent on one occasion without having joined the army. PM Modi and BJP must also introspect their respective contribution to this. It is they that have transformed the aspirations and thinking of the youth. The youth have been made to realize that numbers have power over what is legally right. If enough people support a cause, it gains its own legitimacy and it becomes the duty of the politician, the bureaucrats, and even the judiciary to listen to them. After all, this is democracy. The hitherto subdued class has been given the mantras that might is right and we too matter. Till now it has helped PM Modi win big. Now the same is causing him sleepless nights. At this rate, Indian Armed Forces will just keep losing men at the normal rate of retirement with no one to replace them. That will solve all problems of high pension bills, which this scheme has set out to remedy. May God save India, though he'll find it quite difficult.